Hello everybody, welcome to It Was Tuesday with your host James Chen, aka Jay Chenzor. Got a fun topic here to talk about. Kind of came about on Twitter recently, and once again I threw myself into the heart of the storm with this. It all started with J.M. Crofts putting out a tweet, linking something that happened in the Sajam slam. And saying, see, fighting games aren't harder than anything else. They're, just as simple as other competitive games. There's nothing particularly harder about fighting games. And I responded, I was like, I completely disagree with this, because I think fighting games are way less intuitive than other genres of competitive gaming. And then it just started exploding with a lot of people going like, you're stupid, James. Like, clearly the other games are just as hard. And all these people are starting to talk, and then it just like, it kept going in all these different directions that I never intended it to go. So, for example, a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? You have to learn how to last hit on minions in League of Legends and, know the proper build and do all this stuff. And I was like, I'm not talking about strategy. I'm not talking about strategy. I'm purely mentioning that. And I always use this example. This is an example. You may have heard this on one of the videos from last week, from a couple of weeks ago, where I was talking about Terry Bogard a little bit there too, I think. And I kind of went into the subject matter here. No, I was talking about patches, and I went into this topic. But, and I didn't really expand on it back then. But my whole point is that the reason why I think fighting games are harder to learn. Now, keep in mind, everything is just as difficult as each other to become good. Because when you need to become good, that's when the strategies become really esoteric and like the dedication, the time. So yes, if you want to get to that competitive level, it's very, very, very difficult to get good at any of these things. I'm not saying that fighting games are harder to learn. What I'm saying is that fighting games are way less intuitive. And what I mean by that is that everything that your natural human brain wants to do doesn't work. Everything that your natural human brain wants to do doesn't work. And that is the hardest part about fighting games, right? It's the intuitiveness. So people are like, what's so not intuitive? I just hit a button when I want to punch someone. That's easy. You can't get more intuitive than that, right? The problem is, have you seen people who start playing fighting games for the first time? How does everybody start playing fighting games? Everyone starts playing fighting games like this. This is how everybody starts to learn how to play fighting games, okay? You just start mashing on things. You start, I'll go look at all these, I'll be doom scrolling through my Facebook, right? And you'll see, oh, here's this cool arcade machine that has 50,000 games on it, and you can play them all. And they'll show Street Fighter, and the guy who's playing Street Fighter is just doing this, right? Hell, even Phenom and Veggie had their little video that they did for Street Fighter League where, some guy is trying to learn how to play fighting games and he's mashing, and they walk up to him and they're like, why are you doing that? What would it look like if you mashed in an FPS? What would it look like if you mashed in a racing game? Why are you mashing here? They got it. They understood kind of what I'm trying to get at. So the hardest part about fighting games is that the reason why this comes up is because I am trying to figure out what it is that make fighting games so much easier for people to abandon and to stop trying, right? Most games, for some reason, if I told my friends, hey, let's all go play CSGO, they'd be like, all right, I'll try. And then I'm like, hey, let's all go play a fighting game. Nah, I'd rather not. It's so weird. Because fighting games, and again, another famous GIF, right? Let's see, look at this. Here's another famous GIF, right? What do people fight like in real life, right? I mean, this is how they fight in real life. This is literally how they fight in real life. They close their eyes and they swing at each other, and nobody really knows what they're doing, right? That's how people fight in real life. And so the equivalent of that in fighting games is just mashing buttons, right? You're just mashing buttons and you nothing's happening. Like literally nothing's happening. And so like I've always said this, and again, this is a repeat from a couple weeks back, but as I used to always say to Tubo and Ultra David, I was like, the beautiful thing about first-person shooters or even MOBAs is that if you're getting attacked, you can run away and you can hide and you can get away and it's a win for you. And they're like, but if you run away, you're losing points or you may be breaking formation. And I'm like, no. It doesn't matter if it's a bad strategy. It doesn't matter if it's a bad strategy. The point is you can do it. And in your brain, when you escape gunfire and not die, or you escape two guys chasing you and you manage to get behind your tower, you feel good. Even though in the end, you're probably hurting your team, it can feel good. And it's actually kind of like a real thing, right? Like if I am sitting there and I am getting shot at in real life, I'm going to go and try to find cover behind a wall or something like that. You can do that in an FPS. Literally, your natural human tendency theoretically can work, even if it's a bad strategy. Again, this has nothing to do with whether this is smart to do or not. It's just that this actually can work. Whereas in a fighting game, your natural human tendency is to this. This is your natural human tendency to do. And in a fighting game, when you actually do that, that doesn't work at all. That literally doesn't work at all, right? I think keeping it at just general curious player versus people who want to be good and giving up things and know to put in the work to be good is important. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Like, even if I am a casual player and I'm like, you know what? I want to get better at fighting. I want to get better at shooters. All right? What do I need to do to become better at shooters? I probably need to learn how to aim better. I probably need to learn how to memorize the maps and know where the key choke points and stuff like that are. I need to know how to move a little bit better. And you know what? These things all apply. Like the things that you would naturally think would be better are better, right? And like if you're in like a MOBA, right? Like why do I need to last click on minions? Because you need money so you can buy better gear. You get money for killing them and you can buy better gear. And you're like, oh, that makes total sense, right? And then you're like, I want to get better at fighting games. What do? You must learn the neutral. How do you play neutral? Here's the triangle of footsies, okay? If the opponent likes to poke, you have to whiff punish. If they like to whiff punish, you have to learn to walk forward. If they like to walk forward, you have to learn how to poke. And so there's this triangle of interaction. What? What the fuck are you talking about? What in the God's name are you even talking about, dude? Right? What am I supposed, like, that's why the joke is don't get hit or hit the guy more than they hit you. You know, that's the joke when people say, how do I win at fighting games? I hit the guy more than they hit you. Ha 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 ha, laugh because you know there's so much more to it. Whereas if you're like an FPS, you're like, how do I get better? Shoot the other guy in the head really well and learn to aim really good. And you're like, yeah, yeah, exactly, right? And this is what I mean. It's like, no, fighting games are not just as intuitive as anything else because fighting games, you literally have to learn how to walk at the enemy even if they can hit you. You literally have to bait them into swinging at you so that you can whiff punish them, which is typically usually only like a 5-frame window in which you can whiff punish them. It's not like you see them miss and I go whiff punish and the button just automatically whiff punishes them, right? Whereas like in a shooter, you're like, I'm gonna sneak up behind this guy and shoot him in the head. And you sneak up behind the guy and you shoot him in the head, right? Yeah, good players aren't gonna fall for that, but like whatever, if you tell yourself that I wanna sneak up on someone and shoot him in the head, you can do that, Whereas in fighting games, you just don't have any of that, right? And so Tekken is actually one of the best games in this because at least when you're mashing, you're moving. So, Jin Mashima, the Eddie player online, with the bot that just mashed 3 all day, definitely works, right? And you can move while you're shooting, and whereas in fighting games, as soon as you start pressing buttons, your character just stops, right? And then the other thing too is like, what happens? Okay, so like I'm trying to learn how to, so someone was like, you know what? Have you ever trained an FPS shooter? I've had all these drills where I've had to like take these players and get them to do aiming drills and learn how to do this and all this stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, but aiming drills in an FPS totally sounds logical, right? When you go into a fighting game, there's training mode. You have to spend half of your time playing training mode. What do people do in training mode? They practice their combos. Combos that they will never land in a real match because it's the only thing that they can understand that you can train in a training mode. Fighting games are so unintuitive that you give them a complete training mode and nobody knows how to use it. They use it to learn combos from jumping. So what do they do when they go in a real match? They jump all the time because all they're trying to do is land the only thing that they can literally practice in training mode, which is just combos, right? They don't know how to research. They don't know how to research situations. They don't understand the point of plus frames and minus frames and all that stuff. And yes, this is going down into strategy and stuff, kind of going past where I started with kind of the initial ability. But again, the hardest part is just that your natural brain of what you think should work or what you should do doesn't apply in fighting games. Doesn't apply to fighting games at all. At all. At all. And yeah, tutorial modes are better than training modes, Ruku, but nobody has a good tutorial mode. Not even FPSs, not even MOBAs. Nobody has good tutorials out there, right? And yeah, sometimes the combos are completely unintuitive. Because a lot of times when people see people do combos really well, they think it's because the other guy just has the ability to do the combo better than you, right? They translate, what's the only thing they can translate it related to is athleticism, right? Athleticism is, hey, I can jump higher than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm faster than you. And so when you see someone play a fighting game and they can do this cool combo, you're like, well, this guy can combo better than me. And what I've spent a lot of time teaching people about combos is that it's so scientific. You can science out just about every combo. Like, if you have trouble executing something, come talk to me. I will get you to be able to do that. I have done that on my own stream where someone is like, I can't pass Ryu trial blah. And I go look at it and I'm like, oh, it's because you're thinking this. All you have to do is practice this and practice this. And then like 15 minutes later, the guy's like, I did it. I got the combo. Dude, you can science the shit out of combos in fighting games. Obviously, if you're talking about really ridiculous things like Marvel, like ROM infinites, okay. But we're talking Street Fighter 6 here, okay? Like, there are, let me be the veteran, jerk, asshole fighting game player that I want to be right now, okay? I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm gonna be elitist for a second right here. There are no hard combos in Street Fighter 6. Okay, end of elitist James. End of elitist James. Okay, so, there's really, you can science out a lot of these things, dude. I've done boom loops already. Are you kidding me? I did boom loops before. I can totally do boom loops. I've done them before. They're not even like crazy, dude. So, yeah, Chun 4 HP stance legit took me a year to be able to do that in training mode. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I mean, like, I could probably have taught it to you in 10 minutes. Because you just have to understand certain things about the way it works. It's never Can I move my hands faster? Can I make my hands hit the button harder? It's, you don't understand how this happens to work. You don't understand how the mechanic of this actually works, right? So for example, like if I talk to you about the Chun-Li thing here, if I actually talk to you about the Chun-Li thing, if I told you you can do the spin kick plus punch as early as you need to, you don't even have to wait for it to hit. You just hit back and just do spin kick plus heavy punch. Like, there's no timing involved, right? You just, like, it happens, right? So if I just do that as fast as I can and match heavy kick, so in other words, if I set her to not block and I just do this and match heavy kick, you see it comes out, right? So all you have to learn is that you don't have to time the stance. Just do back heavy punch and then quarter circle back as fast as you humanly can, and then mash heavy kick like your life depends on it, right? And there, boom, it comes out. It's scienceable. All of this shit is scienceable, right? Anyways, I've totally gone off track here. But the whole point is that, you know, when you actually go into training mode, you're not sure what you're actually supposed to do. There's nothing intuitive. What natural human nature thing makes it so that it works in fighting games? I'm going to keep hitting the button to punch you? That's not going to work. I'm going to run away from you. Now you're going to die faster in the corner, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, right, you couldn't do the back quarter circle back motion. And so that part is easy to teach too as well, because the reason why you're having trouble doing back quarter circle back is because you're thinking of it as two different things. This is always the hardest part about learning fighting games, is that people are trying to piece together execution as multiple parts. You don't want to think of it as back heavy punch into quarter circle back heavy punch. You want to think of it as back quarter circle back heavy punch as one thing. You want to think of it as one motion. Like, the problem is when you're doing this, you're like, okay, did I hit this? Did I do this? Is it coming out? I'm not sure. But if you just treat it as one thing, right? And so you just practice it all together. Don't think of it as back heavy punch into quarter circle back. Literally think of that as just one move. This is going to be one of the easiest ways that you're going to learn how to do combos, is combining chunks together into one piece. By combining chunks together into one piece and then learning a second chunk and then turning the transition into a chunk, you'll gain the muscle memory to string all three of them together after a while, right? So for example, if I just learn this part as one chunk, and then I learn to do this part as another chunk, and then I learn how to do, like let's say I learn how to do this into the, you know, you just chunk them together like that. That's how you want to look at it. And the problem is when people try to do combos in fighting games, they separate everything. And I do it too when I'm trying to learn new combos. I think of everything as separate pieces. And then when you do that, it's so hard to do it when the time comes, or to piece it all together. But if you look at everything as one chunk, so like for example, crouching heavy kick into Raging Demon, I used to do that with Morrigan or standing heavy kick into Raging Demon with Morrigan in CVS 1. And a lot of people have trouble doing heavy kick into Raging Demon, but I didn't think of it as heavy kick into Raging Demon. I just thought that sequence is heavy kick, jab, jab, forward, light kick, heavy punch. Right? I didn't think of it as two separate moves. I thought of it as one thing. So, right, saying that being able to do that can actually be hard for some people, for sure. And then that's just one of those things that you've got to train them on the physicality of it. And that will be a difficult part of it. But again, that's like the things that you have to learn at the beginning, right? That's kind of the things that you have to learn at the beginning. If you are having trouble, and this is another thing that happens to a lot of fighting game players, the way that my brain works is if you are having trouble doing back heavy punch into quarter circle back, you shouldn't be necessarily learning that combo, right? You should be learning simpler things first, because you're not there yet. Another problem with fighting game players is they tend to jump the gun and try to do things beyond their means a little bit early, right? You're learning to try to crossover dribble before you even learn how to dribble, between the legs once or something like that. It's kind of like crazy things like that. That's just what it is. It's like, again, I can teach execution because I'm really good at knowing how to get to that level. Everybody always jumps there right away. So if you need help with execution, come talk to me. But execution is still very hard to do. You need a good teacher. But that's the whole point of the Sajam Slam, right? The reason why Crofts used that clip in the first place was because Brian F. was teaching somebody, that person was able to do it. That's why the Sajam Slam is so good, because it's creating teachers. Are you gonna go out there and how many, people are like, well, so stupid. Why would you hire a teacher to learn fighting games? That's dumb. Dude, if you wanted a kid to go learn tennis, do you take them to tennis class? Or do you put them onto a court with a tennis racket and go have fun and then just walk away? Or just start swinging tennis balls at him and be like, you're gonna learn today, son. No, you're actually gonna put them into a freaking school because they have methods of teaching people. That's the whole thing, right? And again, people are right. One of the biggest issues of fighting games compared to other genres is your ability to play in teams, because then you do have teachers. When I was sitting there playing League of Legends, it was easy because I would do stuff and my teammates would be like, you're feeding the enemy. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? And they're like, every time you die, they gain a lot of kind and experience. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. I'll stop doing that, kind of things like that. So it's definitely very nice. But fighting games, you don't get that because you just jump on ranked and you die, right? And it's scary. It's very, very frightening to deal with this kind of thing. And again, you're realistically going into a fighting game and losing your first 100 matches. Right? It's hard. It's hard to play fighting games. And so no, it's not that fighting games are harder to get better at. They're less intuitive to learn. All of the concepts of fighting game are so obtuse. Even if you're a real martial artist. Dude, my friend who has taken martial arts, okay? My friend who has taken martial arts made him a better Wii boxer player than it did a fighting game player. The martial arts that he learned didn't help him in fighting games at all, right? So even if you go learn real martial arts, that doesn't help you in fighting games, because what part of martial arts tells you to hold down back all the time and jump at people and anti-air? What part of martial arts is teaching you how to anti-air somebody? So a lot of what you're actually doing in fighting games is just completely esoteric. It's just it has no translation to reality whatsoever. You're just basically learning the rules of the game and the game alone, right? If you're playing a shooter, you're like, I need to shoot things. I have a crosshair in the middle of the screen. A lot of people are saying, do you know how hard it is to teach people the concept of moving a camera with the second analog stick? And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's super hard. I totally get that. But again, it's just once you get the idea, this is how you look around, right? This is just how you look around, and it starts to make sense a little bit, right? It's just, there's so much. And then even in a MOBA, right? I want to move there. How do I get there? You click. I want to go there. How do I get there? Move your mouse there and right-click it. Right-click. Oh, cool. So where I want to go, I click where I want to go. How do I attack a minion? Click the minion. All right, let me click the minion. Your guy walks up, and you're like, oh, sick, right? What exists in fighting games that is that level? There's literally nothing at that level in fighting games. And that's what I mean by it's so unintuitive. And as a result, learning fighting games, there's this initial barrier that a lot of people have to get over. They have to get around this barrier of, I need to ignore what my brain, fighting games are about learning to not act on your instincts. Everything about fighting games is learning not to act on your instincts. The best players out there are the ones that are the best at being able to resist their instincts. Your instincts will get you shimmied. Your instincts will make you jump a lot. Your instincts will do everything your instincts make you do in fighting games gets you killed. Everything you do in there gets you killed. And it's really, really tough, you know? And that's why I say fighting games are a lot harder. I wouldn't even say that fighting games are 10 times more complicated than first-person shooters, because once you get to the highest level, first-person shooters get super complicated. I mean, to get to that level of how good you are, and you know, but then a lot of it does become instinct and talent, right? I've just gotten really good at aiming, right? I've gotten really good at aiming so that when I see that I want to shoot this and it's right here on the screen, I already know how far to move my mouse to move that thing right into the center and shoot it. You can kind of get good at that. And like I said, with fighting games, there's so very few things that are talent-based like that. Even combos are not a talent-based thing, that they are practicable and scienceable. Marvel, you do get to that level because, like I said, once you get into Marvel, you start learning about launch heights and whether you super jump forward or straight up, and somehow that just starts to make sense. Just like when you play Mario Kart, somehow you just get better at, like, you're like, skid, 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 skid. No, I need to skid longer and it's not gonna blue spark yet. Now it'll blue spark. And like, it's weird because when you play the Mario Kart DS version, like, you kind of just like, you're not even sure what the criteria is, but like all of a sudden you're like, no, that wasn't a regular skid. I need to go a little longer and now I'll get the blue spark. I don't know why I knew that. It just is there, right? So, right, and then genres like shooters don't have motion inputs or arbitrary buffer or cancel windows. It's just that every step of the way that you're playing fighting games is about fighting your normal human instincts. And I'll tell you right now, one of the most uncomfortable things to do is fight your own natural instinct, right? Like, if we're talking about natural human tendencies, playing to your natural instincts is what everybody does. That's why we get addicted to things. That's why we get habits. It's why, I mean, even in real martial arts, you know, they have to teach you to do the right thing, right? I mean, when you play, like if you're in MMA or boxing, you got to learn to always keep your hands at your head. Always got to learn. So if you ever lower your hands, you're fucked, right? Like, you're just going to get destroyed. So you have to learn to do this, even though this might not be instinctual, kind of thing like that. Casuals have no clue about skidding to boost, and it's still fun for them to finish the race, right? And so this is the other aspect of it. So Step Back mentions this, and it's a good segue into what the other thing too is that there are no small victories in fighting games. There are literally no small victories in fighting games. Even if you're playing League and you're on a team that's losing, you're killing minions, you get money, you got money, you bought a power up, you level up, you lose, but you know what? You bought cool items, you leveled up, you're like, yay, you helped take down a tower, yay. You hid in a bush and the guy runs past you and didn't see you, and then you come out of the bush and keep going, you're like, who knows if that helped you at all? Who knows if that did anything? But you did it, and it's kind of neat, right? If you're playing a first-person shooter, like I said, like, you're just wandering along and all of a sudden you hear ping, 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 and you're like, holy crap. And you run out of the building, you run around and you hear ping, 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 and you run and you run and you run far away. You break position, you've left your teammates to die, but it doesn't matter because you got out of that building and you ran behind a bunch of crates and you're safe now. It's a small win, right? It's a small win. Or you're running along, oh, here's a bigger gun. I got a bigger gun. Like, it's a small win. Like, there's nothing in fighting games that give you small wins. And not only that, but if you are weaker in fighting games, you don't get to play. You literally are not playing a video game anymore. When those guys go online and they fight Justin Wong, how much of the round do you think that they are actually actively in control of their character? Like 1% of the fight? 2% of the fight? maybe round one, fight, pow, and that's it. That's the last time they've had any agency on their character at all. At all, at all, at all. Right? That was the last time their joystick actually did anything for their character at that point. The Wazzler, yeah, exactly. Dude, I put the fun in refund is the best fucking quote ever. I put the fun in refund is like genius, dude. Like, that is like one of the greatest quotes that I have ever heard in my life. Yes, that's what he said. Because, like, people are losing and they're like, I can't, this game's stupid, I'm refunding the game. And so Justin will actually say, I put the fun in refund, dude. It's freaking so great, dude. I love it. I love it. Right, and so like with hero shooters, you have to learn to work with 4 others, which complicates everything, right? So you got to learn that. So again, at the highest levels, everything are just as hard, right? I think it's just as hard. And Ruku, I will actually disagree with you. I don't think mashing in fighting games is a learned behavior. That's the standard thing you do when you panic. Because one of the things, so John, I disagree. I've actually had my friends try SF6 and all they did was mash. They only expressed interest in learning the game after that. Yeah, what did they create in Street Fighter 6? They created dynamic mode. Do you know what dynamic mode does? Do you know what dynamic mode does? It plays the game for you when you mash the button. It plays the game for you when you mash a button. That's what dynamic mode does, okay? And so here's the thing. Mashing is not a learned behavior because, as well, let me ask you this. If you play a platformer, what are you doing all the time? You're just hitting the jump button a bunch. You're just jumping all over the place. If you're playing God of War, what are you doing? You're hitting square a lot. And what did they do? They made square do attack, 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 big attack. They've given you the endorphins by letting you through mashing. They gave you the endorphins through mashing. Attack, 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 bigger attack. Wait, I have a stronger button. Triangle. Attack, attack, big attack. They're rewarding you for mashing in those games, right? If you're playing a racer, what are you doing? You're holding accelerating all the time. What is the one thing that everybody who plays racing game have to learn how to do? Actually let go of accelerate, actually brake, right? So their default is hold this button down that makes things happen. What's your default in a shooter? I'm gonna keep left clicking because I'm just shoot, 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 shoot. Someone was like, have you seen beginners play? They just run around and spray bullets. And I'm like, but you can run around and spray bullets. Like, that's great. That's great, right? If you're playing a mobile, what are you doing? Left click, 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 click. Every video game in the history of the world, your main thing is pressing a button. Like, except Pac-Man, because there were no buttons. But like every video game, the button is the main thing that you want to do. And so when you play a fighting game, you want to hit buttons, combine that with panic, and you're going to mash. Not only that, but you know, fighting games aren't like round one, fight, Goomba, Hadouken, level up, power up, here, now you fight, right? Fighting games are literally round one, fight, get punched. Like literally, round one, fight, get punched. Round one, fight, DJ drive rushes at you and you never get control of your character again because you don't know what's going on. He hits you with a jab, combo, okie, you died. Like literally, round one fight, you die. Like you're just right there. The panic sets in almost instantaneously. And what happens when you panic? You start mashing. Just like in a shooter, you would probably start mashing and spraying bullets and running away. But you can do that, and that's still something. You won't do exactly that, but running while shooting is still something that is useful at higher levels, right? Like it's still a thing that is there. But in fighting games, everything that you try to do, everything that your brain tells you to do is wrong. Everything that your brain tells you to do in a fighting game is wrong. And that's why fighting games are harder to acclimate to. They're harder to connect with as a human being because you cannot play to anything. All of us as kids ran around with our hands going pew, 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 on the playground, running around, hiding behind trees. If every one of us went and played laser tag, what would we all do? Hide behind walls, peek around corners. Like, we've all tried to do stuff like this, you know? But even when you pretend to fight, you're just like you're not doing anything real, dude. Like, come on. And so, like, everything that your brain tells you to do in a fighting game is wrong. And that's what makes it hard for people because, like, they're the easiest esport to watch. There's so little information on the screen. It's like, obviously it's hard to get into because, you know, it can be expensive. You need to buy a joystick or whatever. But if you're playing on a pad, it's the same thing as a lot of other games. Sure, there's no free-to-play aspect, but even if we had a free-to-play fighting game, would that make it all of a sudden way more popular? I don't know, because I think a lot of people would play it and just, I mean, like, how many people played the 2XKO beta and on the first day they're like, this game isn't for me, and they quit, right? Some of them did stick. And for sure, free-to-play would help a lot. But Grand Blue has a free version out there for people to play. Grand Blue literally has it. You can go download Grand Blue Fantasy Versus right now and play Grand Blue Fantasy Versus right now with the 4 characters that are currently unlocked. And Gran is always one of them. And what the characters that are unlocked have their full trials, have their full, like, training mode stuff. You can do that right now. How many of you in this chat have not played Grand Blue Fantasy Versus? How many of you in the chat here have never touched Grand Blue Fantasy Versus? Me. Nope. The game is free, dudes. There's a free version out there, me. Don't look at me, I entered Evo. Nice, good job, Gundam Judy Kai. There you go. Let's go. Me due to a computer breakdown. Okay, that's fair. Hey, Zilcho played it, good job. And this is the thing, right? Like, and just for context, I mean, right now, my stream count viewers is like 70, so there's not a lot of people in here. But the point being is that there is a free version out there with a really successful IP, right? And so many people haven't played it. Right? So I don't know. I don't know if the free-to-play will be a bigger thing. So I'm not understanding your beginner FPS player examples because I feel they're not rewarding. No, I get what you mean because a lot of times you can just run around and get shot and die and stuff, you know, and it does kind of feel bad. But nice thing is you jump back into another game pretty quickly, which is one good thing about like Battle Royale first-person shooters, for example, right? But like I said, it's just like, it's not just a giant constant barrage of death, right? Like, you literally start on opposite sides of the map and you can run to the map and then you're like, I'm going to take a different path this time. I'm going to see what's this way. I'm going to try going this way. I'm going to peek around. Oh God, they're over there. Let me run over there. Cool, they didn't see me. You know, stuff like that. Again, they don't have to be giant rewards. It's just that the way that the brain works, the way that endorphins work, the way that, you know, reinforcement works with the human brain. Like if you're running and you see the guys, your enemies all running this way, you're like, oh God, and you run to the side. Like, how many times have you seen something like that and everyone just starts laughing like, oh my God, like, dude, I almost just ran into the middle of them. I almost just got killed, but I got away. Like I'm turning the corner. Oh my God, there they all are, run, you know, and everyone laughs, right? Like things like that, right? Like, you just have like funny little things like that happen, right? If you don't know what you're doing in a fighting game, nothing fun is ever going to happen with your character. You like, nothing's gonna happen, right? You know, that's like the crazy thing. Right, so obviously Harv, but you play a lot of fighting games, so you've been able to get a hang for control. DBFZ, you had no idea what you're doing. That's fair, and it's a completely different game, which is another problem too, because you're like, I learned fighting games on Mortal Kombat. Now I'm gonna go play Street Fighter. There's no block button? What? What? Wait, what? You know, even the people in the Sajam Slam, like, they learned how to block by leaving the controller at neutral. That doesn't work in Street Fighter. That sucks. You know? And yeah, like John Adamson says, in a FPS, if you suck, you kind of have an idea of what you need to do to get better. Like I said, you got to learn to aim better. You probably need to memorize the map, find sneakier spots to hide. And you know what? Even though people hate camping in FPS, you can camp, right? Like in the older games, you can camp. And so if you want to just be the asshole who just sits there, it's like I said, when I played Rumbleverse, I almost always got to the final phase because I just ran from everybody all day. I never powered up, so I couldn't win the last section, but I just ran from people all day. And I told Keats that, and I was like, but I would always get to the end just by running from everybody. And Keats was like, but the point is you could run. It's like, the point is you could run. And this was on the interview with, again, like I said a couple of weeks ago, with Tubo and David on there. And Tubo was like, okay, James is happy now because that's his point this whole entire time, right? And so, like, it's not just necessarily like, hey, on the screen, trophy, good job. You know, like, it's not that. It's just that something dorky happened, right? And so, like, the reason why Smash works so well is because everyone who plays that has items. Like, even the worst player in the world, you'll be fighting, you'll be four-player free-for-all. A hammer drops, and everyone runs to the hammer, and the guy who's the worst at the game just happens to get there first, picks up the button, and slams all three guys off the screen at the same time. And that player will never forget that for the rest of their lives. It will be one of the funniest goddamn things that they've ever done in a video game. And so Smash Brothers has that ability to kind of give you those little fun things that happen as well. The items are what make that more palatable for a lot of people. So when I played Free For All with my friends, even though I was clearly better than most of them, I would still lose a lot because they just got the star or they got the smash ball, you know, like, it allows people to enjoy the game in a different way, you know. Again, it's a different story. And people ask, well, the fighting games are so unintuitive. How did Street Fighter 2 get so popular? We can't talk about them in equal terms anymore. Because, one, Street Fighter 2 looked and sounded and played better than anything you could find out there. Our consoles were the Super Nintendo and the Genesis at the time. Remember, the Street Fighter 2 at home was a bad port. So arcades were important and people played in the arcades. Another thing was, there was no competition. Today, if I tried to play a fighting game and I'm not enjoying it, I can go play 6 billion other games. The Switch has more games that you can play on the Switch than all of the other Nintendo consoles combined. Because there are so many goddamn... No, Mortal Kombat was not around. I mean, I'm talking Street Fighter 2. The first fighting game that wasn't Street Fighter 2 was Fatal Fury. Keep in mind. Keep in mind, the very first fighting game that was not Street Fighter 2 was Fatal Fury. And then the one thing that a lot of people don't understand too, a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand. Costs you 25 cents to play the damn game. Costs you 25 cents. You look, this looks neat, 25 cents, play it. That was kind of fun. Let me put in another quarter and play it. Some guy comes up and challenges you, kicks your ass. You're like, okay, you walked away. You lost 50 cents. What do you do now? What do you do now? Let me spend $60 on this game. Let me spend another $20 on the season pass. And I'm going to go online and get my ass kicked for $80 now. So I got my ass kicked for $80 as opposed to 50 cents. And it's different because when you also play in the arcades, you're around other people. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes you would be at the arcade, play, get your ass kicked, and then you would like look at the guy and they'd be like, hey, how do you do that one move? There'll be those assholes that'll be like, I don't know, scrub, but you'll run into someone who will be like, oh yeah, that's, you have to hold down and then you do this and you gotta do this. Sometimes you'll run into that. Sometimes you'll run into that. And it makes a big difference. And then some of my best lifelong friends are people that I've met at the arcade because you guys kept going to the same arcade. And eventually you just started talking to each other. You go, hey, let's grab lunch. And you go talk. And again, it's not a team game, but the social aspect. The social aspect. Again, there was no internet during Street Fighter 2, yet I went to a random video store that had the jankiest, tiniest Street Fighter 2 cabinet, and the guy knew how to do guile handcuffs. And the guy knew how to do all like the magic throw and shit like that. We had no internet. Do you know how you do the handcuffs? You Kara cancel your strong throw into flash kick. Like, that's not something that everybody's gonna learn, right? Like, what? How did you figure this out, right? That's how crazy words spread about these games a long time ago, but that's because it was a social connected thing. People, spreading it everywhere, out back and forth. It's such a different time. We cannot compare back then to what we have today. If we had no fighting games and Street Fighter 2 came out today, it would not be a cultural sensation. It would not be. Street Fighter 2 came out at exactly the right time. It came out literally at the exact right time for it to gain the notoriety and the level that it got to. As much as a Street Fighter freak as I am, and as much as I will praise fighting games to the ends of the earth, if fighting games were invented today, even with better graphics and stuff like that, and Street Fighter 2 came out today, it would not be the same cultural sensation. Would it be popular? Probably. But it would just be another thing. Fortnite would still eclipse it. CSGO would still eclipse it. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't matter. It would just be that small niche thing that other people played. It wouldn't be, this is Street Fighter, the global phenomenon, right? And so we can't compare the eras. Yes, fighting games were just as unintuitive back then, but also we were all just as stupid about the game together. We were all, everybody I knew could throw a sonic boom at the start of the round and then never again. So they'd be holding back, round one, fight, sonic boom, and then they go back forward, nothing, back forward, nothing, back forward. They could only throw one sonic boom and that was the end of it. It made no sense to anybody that holding back for 2 seconds is what allowed them to throw the fireball. Nobody knew that. So everyone I knew when the game first came out was hold back, round one, fight, sonic boom, and then never sonic boom ever again. And we just kept playing. I believed that you couldn't do a spinning pile driver with Zangief because I thought it would be too cheap for humans to do. So I thought it was just a move exclusive to the computer. And my brother was like, no, there's gotta be a way to do a spinning pile driver. And I was like, no, there's not. There's not any way to do this. And so one day he was like, we gotta try something. So we went there and I crouched with my character and he went there and he was like, trying all these things and nothing would work. And finally he just started mashing and he went strong and then and he did the spinning pile driver and we're like, oh, you can do it. Oh my God. It took me 2 months to learn how to uppercut with Ryu. When Bison in the arcade did the Psycho Crusher, he took extra damage. Do you know how his Psycho Crusher worked in the original Street Fighter 2? He would walk up and do this. He would crouch and pose, and then he'd go, And keep in mind, Street Fighter 2 is like 5 times slower than every fighting game that we ever played. Like Psycho Crusher is literally like, like that. Like that's how fast it was. And I was terrified to try to uppercut the Psycho Crusher. Like 3 months into the game, the first time I uppercutted the computer Psycho Crusher, like I swear to God, I felt like I won the lottery, dude. I seriously thought I won the lottery. I was like, I did it! I uppercutted the Psycho Crusher. Like I ran and like had to go tell my brother about it. I had to go tell everybody. Like I was like, I did it. I did this. This is like 3 months in the game. This is 3 months in the game, right? Like, dude, back then, it didn't matter that the game was unintuitive because we all learned it at the same time. And then when Tomo and Tony showed up to our arcade and started doing crazy things, and that's why I always make the example, when we first went to the Pico Rivera tournament, it was like walking into Q's laboratory in a James Bond film. You know, all the famous scenes in all the James Bond films where he walks into Q's laboratory and you walk by this guy with this crazy invention, or this guy melting this mannequin, or this guy with a pen that blows up or whatever, and it's all, or like this coffin that just like closes the door on you and spikes you, and it's all happening in the background while they walk casually through. That's what it was for me and my brother when we went to Pico Rivera. Like we were just walking and like someone actually like tried to throw a sonic boom and the Chun-Li just ran up and punched him in the face with fear. So it was like sonic pow, and we were like, you can do that? Then we also saw Hadouken sonic boom back fist, and we were like, what? You can, oh my God, that's so sick. Like everything we were seeing was like, I mean, we were blown away, and then we would try it, none of it worked, because fighting games aren't just, hey, you can punch sonic boom when he starts it. It's literally, you know, I predicted him, I baited him, I got used to his pattern. We didn't get that back then. And so like, it's just so many things. And then Tomo, in that tournament, Tomo was like, I'm gonna beat this next guy with only light kick. And he played Guile and he only used light kick and he destroyed him. He destroyed the guy, right? He also uppercutted every Chun-Li crouching roundhouse kick. Chun-Li would walk up, roundhouse, DP, crouch it. And remember, the DP didn't knock down. So it was this, whoomp, shoryuken, whoomp, shoryuken. And if the Chun-Li didn't low roundhouse, he didn't DP. And we were like, wow, this guy is crazy. He was probably doing the motion button option select, like motion, nothing, motion, nothing, motion, there it is, button, DP. We didn't know about that stuff. All that, dude, it's just like, it was so different back then. It was so different back then. So it doesn't matter that fighting games are unintuitive. Oh yeah, I won a match one time because I was Chun-Li, and I ran up to the Ryu, and he got up and did wake up DP, and went pow, and I ran up and threw him, and he ran up, and he went pow, shoryuken, and I ran up and threw him, and then he ran up, woke up DP, pow, and I ran up and threw him, and he died. Because in the original Street Fighter 2, you didn't get knocked down by a grounded DP. It was meant to be an anti-air. It was meant to be an anti-air. That's why they didn't want it to work as a ground thing. They were like, well, if you have an invincible move and you can punch somebody on the ground like that, that's unfair. So we won't have it knocked down and make it punishable on a hit because it's just supposed to be an anti-air. Well, they changed their mind in Champion Edition because then it started knocking down and we were like, yes. We were all so happy about that. The whole point being is that Street Fighter 2 came out at a specific time, and we were all bad at the game at the same time, so it didn't matter that fighting games were unintuitive because there was one, we all sucked at it, two, there was nothing else to play. Arcades were dying, okay? If Street Fighter 2 did not come out, arcades would have died 5 years earlier. Facts. 100%. Street Fighter 2 was the last gasp of air for arcades. If you didn't live in this era, you don't understand. Arcades were already dying because Super Nintendo, Genesis were amazing already. And you didn't really have to go to the arcades that much. Street Fighter 2 literally saved arcades for like another 10 years maybe? I don't even know. Like, because it also created all the knockoffs and everything else. So arcades might have even died 10 years earlier if Street Fighter 2 had not come out. And I can say that, and this is like not opinion. Everybody else who lived in that era who was an arcade junkie will be like, yep, 100%. If Street Fighter 2 didn't come out, arcades would have died a long time ago. 100%. Like literally they saved the arcades, right? And so again, such a different time. You can't compare it. And so back to the original point here, fighting games being unintuitive now, being able to play against people who know what they're doing and having a zillion options to go do something else, even if it's not a video game. You have movies on demand. You know what? I can go watch Parks and Rec on a streaming service and double screen on my phone while playing an auto battler instead of playing fighting games online and dying. There are so many different things that you can do nowadays that aren't getting your ass whooped in a fighting game, and nothing that your brain tells you should do works. The ways to improve in a fighting game aren't all completely unintuitive. Do you know how happy, how smart I thought I was when I first thought of the mix? Because like you would walk up and people would do wake up DPs and they would beat you. And I was like, all right, so people learn to walk up and block, and you would bait the DP and then you would punish them. And one day I was like, but see, I'm gonna wake up and walk up and throw them when they try to bait my DP. Oh my God, I'm so smart. That's gonna be amazing the first time I pull that off. That was like 2 years into my fighting game career or something stupid like that. Like 2 years into my fighting game career, dude. Like it's so unintuitive. Like, if you're just learning fighting games yourself, like, these are not things that you just naturally assume to try to do. Nothing about fighting games are intuitive. Nothing about your natural human tendency plays into improving in fighting games. Fighting games are about, so as I've always said when I taught fighting games are as much about unlearning as they are learning. Because one of the hardest things about fighting games is that everything that you learn at the beginning is almost always wrong. In Street Fighter V, everybody would play Cammy and just spin knuckle all day. Because it moved forward, it hit, you were plus. And so these people who get out of bronze with Cammy spin knuckle will get to like silver and then get partially into gold, and now the spin knuckle never works. But you're not gonna stop using it because that's what gave you success before. That's what worked before. But in actuality, Cammy spin knuckle is a terrible move. It's a terrible, terrible move. At the highest levels, nobody used the spin knuckle. Nobody used the spin knuckle in Street Fighter V. In fact, people started using V Skill 2, which was useless, but it was just less useless than V Skill 1. That's what Cammy's actually started doing. That's how bad spin knuckle was. But it worked in bronze, but now you have to unlearn it. You literally have to unlearn it. You might get out of bronze by jumping at people all day. Then you get to silver and they start anti-airing and it doesn't work anymore. Wake Up Super, Wake Up Ultra works at the lowest ranks. Then you get to the higher ranks and it doesn't work anymore. You have to unlearn so much. And that's one of the toughest things, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure all the other competitive games, there's similar things. That the things that you learn, you've got to start unlearning. But I still think the core of what you learn is actually still applicable. You know, I feel like if you're learning a first-person shooter, you know, you learned how to shoot and aim. Like, does that ever stop being right? is it ever stop being right to know how to aim, or I want to shoot this, move it to the center, shoot? Like, even at the lowest of levels, that's the first thing that you're learning. Is that ever turn into something wrong? Right? I mean, the closest thing is you shouldn't have been having that up there in the first place. You've memorized every map so well in every location that you're at. You know the height of everybody's head. So your aim should have been at the height of the head already, and you should already be aiming around the corner, blah, 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 you know, et cetera, stuff like that. But it's still about aiming and shooting. It's still about aiming and shooting, right? I mean, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, you know? You get bad habits of strafing while shooting. That makes sense. That makes sense. What do you do instead? What is the right answer of not besides strafing while shooting? See, this is the key factor here. What is the right answer to that? Right, cursor placement, which is aim better. So what are you supposed to do while strafing it instead of strafing and shooting? ARPG. What is an ARPG? Go from resistance to health and dodge due to implicits on your item drops. What's an ARPG? All of that makes me think of anime RPG. Okay, recoil control. Sure. But see, here's the thing, is like, I feel like a lot of that is just kind of building on top of what you're kind of already understanding, right? So what's an action RPG? Action RPG. Oh, like Diablo. Okay. The thing about it is, it's like a lot of these games give you time to learn. So even if you play like a StarCraft, or even if you're playing Diablo, which, I mean, you know, you're just like building on your own for a while. Yeah, sure, you can get Zerg rushed or whatever like that, but you have time to learn these things, you know, and it's just like, it's like literally like, it's just weird because, you know, in fighting games, you know, the way that I teach fighting games is I try to let people do the wrong thing because I want them to learn how to unlearn, right? Like, and it's like, it's just weird. Like, you can say like, okay, strafing and shooting is a bad idea. Okay, why is that a bad idea? You explain it. You're like, okay, cool. And then, like, you go to a fighting game and you're like, mashing buttons is bad. And you're like, why? Because you're not moving anywhere and people know where you are and they can easily whiff punish you and stuff. And then, what the hell is whiff punishing? And then when you tell them what whiff punishing is, they can't even whiff punish. You know? Like, you can't even whiff punish even if someone told you what a whiff punish is, right? Like, half the time you're not going to be able to do it. I just, like, it's... See, this is the thing, is like recoil control. It's like, because when you shoot, you where you're aiming changes, and so you got to learn how to readjust for that and get back to aiming where you want to aim, right? That's recoil management, I'm assuming, right? I'm assuming that's recoil management, and that's learning how to aim, right? That's learning how to maintain aim. Like, it's all like I feel like it funnels, you know? And I know it's unfair for me to say these things because I haven't played a lot of these games. Unfortunately, I can't play first-person shooters because they make me sick. But even when I was playing League of Legends, you know, I'm doing the wrong thing all over the place, but I'm having a blast. I'm having fun, you know? Things are actually going well, you know? Oh yeah, fighters compared to single player games. Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. In League, when I first played League, I picked the guy who looked like I forgot his name, but he looked like one of the Romance of the Three Kingdom characters. He had a power up that you could buy that if he attacked, he healed himself. So I thought that was Shinzao. That's who it was. That's who I picked. And then eventually I found out I really liked playing support, I think it was. And so I switched to Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn was support, right? She's the one with the big top hat, if I'm not mistaken. She's ADC. I can't remember. Oh, no. I was playing other supports. But I did like Caitlyn, though. I did. So she was always, didn't she go in the same lane as somebody? No, when I played with my other friend, that's right, I switched character to a support character. But when I was playing with my friends, I eventually switched to Caitlyn because she can run away easy. Because I never had flash, but she had that one move where she fired like the shotgun, which would recoil her back really far so I could run away and trap people in nets and get the hell out of there. I played her because she ran away well. Which again kind of fits in to what I'm talking about here, right? So I played a lot of Caitlyn for that reason. And then when I was learning with one of my friends, I definitely picked up a healer. I don't remember which one it was. She was like, oh, that character's support. And so then I bottom laned with her and I basically just watched her do things and I just kept healing her and stuff like that. It was really fun. It was really fun. Right. And that's the thing is I could probably do really good damage with her with that net. Didn't matter. I didn't know. It helped me run away. And that was good. Soraka, that's the one. I'm pretty sure it was Soraka. Actually, because that name looks familiar. But it doesn't matter that I was using Caitlyn wrong. I was accomplishing what my brain wanted to accomplish. I saw that if I fired this thing I launched and it could help me run away. And so when I used her and I shot it when people were chasing me and it let me run away, that was a win. That was a victory for me. It didn't matter. And also keep in mind too, one of the best things about a lot of these games is that their bots are way better. Fighting the computer in fighting games is almost completely useless because you will not learn it can teach you some stuff. It can teach you some stuff, but it's not like fighting bots in League, right? Like fighting bots in League, the bots in League can actually play to a decent level, right? CPU in fighting games have to read your inputs to be strong. Because how difficult it is, because fighting games are hard, so you can't make the CPU mimic a human very well, although they did a great job with that. If you play CPU level 7 in training mode, it's actually really entertaining because they actually let the computer, they program the computer to be shimmyable and things like that. Like they actually program the computer to at some points the computer will make a guess, which is actually kind of sick. Don't play them at level 8 because then they read inputs and they're dumb. But if you play the computer at level 7, it's actually pretty interesting because they will do attack, throw, shimmy mix-ups on you, which is really cool, honestly, which is really, really cool. But yeah, a lot of those other games are important because you can fight bots really well, right? I don't know first-person shooters if there's a lot of if the bots are any good and if you can learn a lot, but I'm sure you can, right? Because it helps you acclimate to maps, it helps you acclimate to aiming better, et cetera, in kind of a more calm environment. That environment doesn't exist in fighting games. There's no calm environment for fighting games. I like that. 2 comments back to back. Bots are, in my opinion, even dumber in FPS games. I love playing against bots in FPSs. Oh, man. It's just, again, And again, the funny thing too is that this is the last thing I'll say on this topic here. Whenever I say that fighting games are harder to learn, that they're less intuitive, people always come up to me and they're like, "That's not true at all, James. All these other games are just as deep." And I'm like, I'm not complimenting my genre. I am complaining about my genre. This is not a competition. I'm literally saying that our games are not as good at teaching players as the other games. Yet somehow, for some reason, when I make these comments, people always come, "No, these other games are just as deep. They're just as hard. Like, people can be just as confused playing these games." I'm like, this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. I'm insulting my genre. I am not praising my genre. I'm literally saying your game is better than my game. And people are like, "Shut up, James. No, my game is worse." Like, that's literally what they're saying to me. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to make fighting games sound like some sort of bastion of deepness and that oh my God, it takes so much strength. And when you learn fighting games, you become a real man. Like, no, I'm like, fighting games don't hold your fucking hand enough. I want it to hold your hand more. I want it to hold your hand even more. Do you understand? Holy crap, and I get so angry. It just seems like whenever I say that, I'm trying to make fighting games better than other things, when all I'm literally saying is that fighting games are worse, that all these other games are better at onboarding players than fighting games. I'm praising the other games. They're more natural. They're funner to pick up. People are more willing to play them. It's like I said, every time you get a group of friends, "Hey, you want to all get together and play Diablo?" Sure. "Hey, you want to join us and play League of Legends?" Sure. "Hey, you want to get together and play fighting games?" Nah, I'll pass. How many fighting game players in this chat have gone through that, dude? How many fighting game players have had that happen where all your friends are willing to play everything except for freaking fighting games? Like, that's such a common story that I run into all the freaking time, dude. Oh man. Well, yeah, to be fair, Diablo is not really a versus game, right? So it's not really a versus game. But even I ended up playing Diablo with my friends. They're like, "Let's all play Diablo." I was like, "Sure." And I played and it was fun. Like, I enjoyed my time playing Diablo, whatever. But it's like, every time you try to get your friends to play fighting games, they'll play for like 10 minutes and they'll be like, "I'm not having any fun. Let's go do something else, please." Like Harv says, after I beat my friends at fighting games, they no longer want to play the game, right? How would you improve Street Fighter 6 World Tour mode? It's a really interesting question. It's a really, really interesting question. Because it's really good. It's really good. I think the hardest thing about it is that, the way that they did World Tour. All right, you know how I would improve Street Fighter's World Tour? I would have created a third set of costumes on release that you get for beating World Tour. That's what I would do. I would give you a third set of costumes for every character. There's just the third set of costumes. You beat World Tour, you get all the costumes. Can't buy them, can't drive ticket them, can't fighter coin them. You beat World Tour, you get all the costumes. That's how I would make World Tour better. Because World Tour's problem is not necessarily that it's not doing a good job teaching it. It's just that there's no incentive to play it. Honestly. That's one of the things. And yeah, I mean, for sure, Goodwine says, I went through World Tour because I refused to give Capcom more money for costumes I would unlock easily. And that was the problem too, is like, how do you unlock the costumes for them? Find the master, go look online what their favorite item is, buy a bunch of those and just spam it to them and you get their costume. that doesn't make you play World Tour, right? And so like if you had to beat World Tour to do that, to get those costumes, then at least everybody would play it and they would just like run through and start learning things here and there. And I think that would work, actually. The Street Fighter 6 character guides are a good start, yes. Again, Ruku, I'm not sure if you've heard me say this a million times, a million times on the stream, but the best tutorials that have ever existed in a fighting game are Break the Targets and Home Run Contest in Melee, specifically, because you didn't know you were learning. But for some reason, you just kept doing them because you're like, I want to hit the bag farther. I want to break the targets faster. And then, of course, in Nintendo 64, there was, what was it called? Jump the platforms or land on the platforms or something like that. Like, that taught you how to move, and you just jump and you learn how to drop through floors and to jump and to double jump and all these things like that. Like, when you played Home Run Contest, I learned how to short hop down A with Yoshi. So I learned how to short hop just because, board the platforms, thank you. Just because I wanted to be able to go to the home run bag because it didn't move the bag anywhere. And no one told you were learning. And then you would be like, wait, why is it when I hit with the baseball bat close, it doesn't do anything? But when I hit with the baseball bat at the tip, it goes farther. But if I hit it even further at the tip, it doesn't do well. Okay, there's a sweet spot. You learned about sweet spots, right? Then you played Break the Targets where damage didn't matter anymore. Now it was about movement and how to hit things. And so now you learn how to move your characters around. You see this target here. How do I hit that? Oh, PK Thunder. Zzz, pow. Okay, now you learn how to use PK Thunder, right? Those are the best tutorials. Those are 100% the best tutorials. And those are the kind of things that we need more of. You need to trick people into learning because most people who do tutorials in fighting games are doing it for the trophy that says you finished tutorials, right? And what else happens when you do tutorials? You play through the tutorial and you're like, I don't remember 80% of that. Whatever. And you just keep going, right? Tutorials are the best. I've said this a million times. Fighting game tutorials are always the best for people who know how to play fighting games and watch the tutorial. Because they're like, yeah, see, that's right. Yeah, see, that's a good way to learn. Yeah, that's good information. Everybody else learning the fighting game, you press this and this will drain one of your diamonds. They can counter it and it'll drain one of their diamonds too. And that will nullify it. However, if you have this diamond here, but be careful because if you lose the diamonds, you're actually going to start taking more damage. And you can gain a diamond and you're just like, what the fuck? What? What? Yeah, Guilty Gear Xrd was okay. It was better than most of them because it had the interactiveness, you know, of trying to dodge the little bombs and kill the little minions and stuff like that. For sure, Xrd had a better one because it had those little mini games, but they were hidden in a tutorial, and it's called tutorial. And when you're a human being and you go click on tutorial in the menu, what are you expecting? Class, learn. When you go home run contest, what are you expecting? I'm going to beat the shit out of this thing and launch it as goddamn far as I can. And in Melee, I even got to the point where the reason why I say Melee specifically, because Future Break the home run contest put the shields on the wall. Like, why would you do that? Why did you put the shields on the wall? You ruined the whole educational point of it, because when there was no walls, you also learned which direction your moves launched the bag. By forcing you to try to keep it on the bag, you learned, oh, don't hit with this button because it launches it this way. But then when you play in an actual match, you're like, wait, I want to launch him this way. In the home run contest, when I hit it, it launched him that way. So I'm going to use this move that launches him that way, right? Like, why did you add the shields in the home run? You ruined home run contest. And I even got to the point where I would do home run contest by beating the bag and launching it off the platform and chasing it and keep bouncing it and then launch it. But Then you were learning more about positioning, movement. You learned the more damage you did to the bag, the higher it went, which is a super core mechanic in the game. Dude, the amount of core mechanics you learn from break the targets and from home run contest is ridiculous. They were the smartest things ever, you know? They were so smart. Oh yeah, David commentates for Mortal Kombat. He did at EVO. And again, that diamond thing that I was explaining was Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. That was a real thing. All the diamond, oh yeah, do this diamond thing, it's unblockable, and they can follow up with an attack, but you can counter it yourself if you have a diamond, but then you use up a diamond, but if you don't have a diamond, you gotta take the hit. And you know, like, it's just like, what? Like, the tutorial teaches you all this stuff, and you're just like, what? What? It was absolutely a realistic thing that I was describing. Right? And again, this is, I don't see how people cannot think fighting games are less intuitive. And again, everybody pushes back against me because they think I'm trying to make up some story that fighting games are deeper and special and awesome when I'm really saying fighting games suck because they're so bad at making people want to keep playing them. But people want to fight me because I think they think I'm praising fighting games, honestly. Ugh. I literally had a homie that stopped playing Tekken because everyone kept on mentioning frame data, dude. Dude, where is one of my favorite tweets of all time, dude? Let me see if I can find this thing. I think I bookmarked it. So let me see if I can find it. Oh God, did I book? Oh God, that clip is hilarious too. Let me see.
Dare and Nair and.
Oh yeah. This is the one. Oh, I love this.
Dare and Nair and Backer and Upper and Fair are all safe.
So this is Leffen talking to Mango, by the way, and I couldn't remember Mango's name for some reason because it's just how my brain works.
Dare and Nair and Backer and Upper and Fair are all safe.
Look, it's basic, but everything's safe in the game.
No, they're plus. Nair is +1.
What the fuck does +1 mean?
It means that you
What does
can
+1
shine
mean?
before I can
What
shine.
does +1 mean?
Well, stop playing it.
No, what is +1?
It means that you have an advantage. So like, if
Where do I have advantage? Tell me, please.
If you do a late Nair on my shield, and I press like grab, and you press grab, you grab is 1 frame earlier, +1. Shine out of shield is 4 frames. Falco's normal shine is 1. So if you +1, you have 5 frames.
Did he intentionally put you guys?
No. It was.
Like, you didn't hear it, but like at one point in time, Mango's just like, "You're a nerd, dude." But like, I mean, this was early on. This is a long time ago, so I'm sure Leffen can explain it better now than he could back then. But again, like, this is what fighting games are about, right? Like, this is why when you start talking about frame data and shit, people are like, what? And you're like, go look at the chart with all the numbers on there, do the math, and figure out, and instantly people are like, you want me to do math to play this video game? What? You know? I mean, the way that I explain frame advantage, I explained it as a race. And you just get a head start. Like, 2 people get, and the dude, I explained it in an old first attack by using amiibos. Like, I literally had amiibos, and I was like, here's Mario and Luigi. They're both medium attacks. If this guy is ahead by, like, if you are +1, you actually get you get to start 1 foot first forward. And if they run at the same speed, Luigi wins because he was +1. But we have to take into account different speeds of moves. So here's Bowser, he's a heavy attack. Here's Toad, he's a light attack. So now I'm +2, but no, Bowser is +4, but Bowser runs slower than Toad. So even though he's +4, Toad will still run past Bowser faster. Dude, like, I was actually explaining that way, dude. Oh, man. Right, exactly, Ruku. You can explain all these things with frame data. There's no point, which is what makes a lot of older games better, because Super Turbo and Third Strike, you could explain frame data as well. They don't help those games. They literally don't help those games, you know? Like, I remember talking to, it was like Automatic, right? Automatic, who's super good at frame data in Street Fighter V and Street Fighter VI. In fact, he's like, you know, the guy who, as soon as a new character comes out, he finds out the knockdown, the frame kill to get the meaty and do all this stuff. He does all the calculations. And I say, do you know any frame data in Third Strike? And he was like, hell no. Hell no. Oh, man. It's so funny, dude. You don't have to learn the frame data or the maths, but don't go expecting us players competing to just not also use them because you don't. It's like any sports stats or strategy. Yes, the players know the stuff. You don't have to, but it's how people think about the game. It's how some people think about the game. You don't have to think about the game that way. It's just that it makes it quicker. is how I describe it, is you learn a lot faster if you understand frame data, because it'll take you a while. Because I definitely fought Olaf in Street Fighter V who used Colleen, and he did crouching medium kick, and I hit a button after crouching medium kick like 20 times in a row, and he beat me every time with stand light kick. And he's like, why are you always attacking me? That move's plus. And I'm like, what move? What move? He's like, this move. And I was like, do I keep attacking after that? He's like, yes, you do. And I'm like, really? I would learn eventually to recognize that I shouldn't hit a button after that. But if I understand frame data and I'm like, I have to find out what moves are plus. Oh, that one's plus, don't hit a button. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. You know, like, knowing frame data makes you learn faster. You can learn the way without it, but it'll just take you 10 times longer. Because I also base everything off of speed. I have a problem that the speed of a move changes my interpretation of a move. Colleen's crouching medium kick looks slow as fuck. And so when I see it, I want to attack it. After I block it, it's like, and it, like, I want to attack it. Whenever Aki does strong into fireball, into whip, her fireball motion is, and so all I want to do is attack at that point, but it's a frame trap. And I get hit by that all the goddamn time. All the goddamn time, dude. Just to clarify on Tempest's situation, Tempest was accused of sexual harassment and was described of a situation to which Tempest said, yes, that did happen. Sometimes I'm not good with boundaries. I didn't see it. I didn't think it would be interpreted that way, but I did do it. I made them uncomfortable. I'm sorry, and I will step away from the FGC. He kicked himself out of FlyQuest sponsorship. He said he's removing himself from the FGC basically voluntarily to try to do better, basically, is what happened with Tempest. So he lost his position at the Arc World Tour. So that's the way it is. So when you found out Cammy Stand Heavy Punch was Super Plus in CVS 2, yep, exactly. So, yeah, that's just the thing. It's like, what part of that makes sense? You know, for people who know fighting games, and especially math-oriented people, they're like, that makes total sense. And that's why Street Fighter V was so cool, because it brought the genre to a lot of people who couldn't play fighting games before. Because a lot of people who played fighting games didn't understand the mix-up. But as soon as you get a very scientific person who likes numbers and stuff, and you explain to them, oh, when you're minus, it's their turn, so here's the mix-up. They get to attack, but they can also choose to not do that attack, because if you block every single time like you should, they can take advantage of it and throw you or steal a turn. And they're like, oh, I get it. And so now when they play a fighting game online, these people will be like, oh, this move is negative. I know what the mix-up is. I know how to handle the situation. And it becomes very easy for them to learn fighting games. And so these players, you know, they benefit from that kind of thing. But from all the people that play by heart, like, this shit just doesn't work, dude. That shit doesn't work. And for me, like I said, when I play Tekken, you know, someone's like, you know that elbow from Dragunov is launch punishable, right? And I'm like, what elbow? And the guy's like, that elbow that they're doing to you, like, all the time. I'm like, what elbow? He's never attacked me with an elbow. And they're like, dude, he's attacking you with an elbow all the time. And then he did the move and everyone in the chat's like, that elbow. And I'm like, I've never seen that move before, but, you know, I have definitely seen that move 1,000 times. I'm just bad at noticing those kind of details. You know, that's not how I see moves. That's not how I see moves. I see moves by space, by motion, and by speed. So, like, when I think of Chun-Li's crouching medium kick, it's never actually a sweep, which is what the animation is. It's always a wha and comes back. Like, this is how I see it. And the best way that I've always explained it is that in Street Fighter V, I, for the longest of time, could not tell the difference between Birdie's EX Bullhorn and his EX Headbutt. Even though one of them went ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bam and the other one ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bam. But both of them were move forward, hit multiple times, and swing their body. And that's all I saw. And so even on commentary, like, every time someone did it, I would be like, oh, that's punishable. I wouldn't say it because I didn't know which one they did. I literally didn't know which one they did. Oh, I have a terrible time learning 3D fighting games, Ruku, because of that. Because I don't recognize moves. I never recognize moves. It's really, really hard. It's really hard for me. And it's also why I will never, ever, ever be able to tech a goddamn throw in Tekken. I will never, ever. Because you're going to tell me to see which hand they're trying to attack, especially when I'm left-right dyslexic, and when they're on the left side, this is the front hand is right, and when on the right side, the front hand is left. No! No! Dude, 1 + 2 doesn't help either. I don't see the difference. There's no difference to me. I play King because I'm a grappler and I like throwing people. So Soul Calibur is a lot easier because Soul Calibur is a lot more heart-based. Soul Calibur is actually a lot less, like, there's turns in it for sure, but, you know, like, the fact that you sidestep verticals, and almost every horizontal you can crouch. There's a few rare horizontals that you cannot, but so the interplay is just like, I think he's gonna horizontal here, sidestep. I think he's gonna do this, sidestep. I think he's gonna do there, crouch. And so it was more intuitive. It was more intuitive to me. So yeah, and that's why Eddie and, dude, don't even talk to me about Huarong. Don't talk to me about freaking I almost called her Zaffarino because that's the name of the player, Zafina. Don't even talk to me about Zafina either, because I just see her crouch and she does a million things. There's that one move where she does a little flip kick and then the follow-up claws, and I get hit by that every time because after the first 2 kicks, she goes claw. And it looks so goddamn slow. Of course I can press a button, but it's a frame trap. So I press a button and I die every single time. Oh, God. So yeah, I mean, again, like, I feel like at every level, I don't understand how people think fighting games aren't less intuitive than other games. Again, yeah, all those other games, like, they have really hardcore things you've got to learn, like you said, handling recall, knowing where to place your cursor on the map and everything like that. But you know what that all sounds like to me is learn to aim and shoot at the thing better, right? After you recoil, you need to put your cursor back to shoot the thing, right? Like, I know that when people run around this corner, their head's gonna be at this height or this height if they're crouching. So put your cursor at these heights and memorize that because you want to learn to shoot them better. Like, everything comes down to the theme of shooting things better. Oh, man. So I don't know. I don't know, dude. Like, I hope this makes sense to people. This obviously ended up way longer. I think I've been going on about this for an hour and a half. But, like, I hope that this makes sense to people, why I say what I do. And again, it's not a compliment to fighting games. So I don't need people to be like, no, MOBAs are just as deep. No, MOBAs are hella deep. They're super deep. First-person shooters are super deep. They're all deep. Fighting games are super deep. It's just that nothing that you would assume is what you're supposed to do in a fighting game works to your favor. Like, if you told somebody to get really good at a first-person shooter, you have to do this because that helps you aim better. You need to do this because that helps you aim better. And you're just like, so in other words, to get really good at shooters, you have to memorize map positions, learn choke points, and shoot and aim really well. And you're like, yeah, but like, doesn't that make sense? Like, that makes total sense, right? Like, fighting games are like, oh, when someone is up in your face, they're trying to make you attack. They're trying to bait you into attacking so they can frame trap you. So you should not hit a button when someone is right next to your face. Can't they throw me? Of course they can throw you, but don't press any buttons. What if they throw me? Well, if they throw you, then you should have tried to tech or do one of your air moves or airborne moves to beat that. But you shouldn't push the button most of the time because getting thrown is not as bad as getting hit by a combo. But I don't want to get thrown. I'm losing life. Isn't that bad? No, it doesn't matter. The life meter is just another resource. It's just another resource. And when the guy is right next to you, they're trying to bait you into doing this, right? So they want you to throw so they can shimmy you. What does that mean? Oh, well, what they do is what they're doing. They're standing next to you. And so when they walk away from you, you'll whiff your throw and then they can punish you on your throw. Like, what the fuck does any of that mean? Yes, other games can get more complicated, like, oh, you've got to last hit these minions so you get more money to buy, so you can buy gold. Wait, why does that happen? Because when you actually kill the minion, you gain the points. If you let your minion kill the minion, you don't get the money and the experience points for killing him. So you want to watch their life meter, hit them with the last hit, gain more money and more experience, so that way you can buy stuff and be more powerful. Okay. Right? Like, okay. That makes sense. I don't know. Is it just me? Is it just me? Does that not make sense to anybody else? Like, that makes sense. Every time I try to teach people fighting games, it takes me a long time to explain that, right? It takes me a long time to explain the RPS. And every time I do a beginner stream, I always explain the RPS, the Street Fighter RPS of attack, throw, shimmy. I explain it every time because I have to. And I've gotten good at explaining it to people. But it's so obtuse. It makes no sense. There's nothing naturally, inherently, there's no point in time in which your brain is like, if someone came right up to my face, I shouldn't hit buttons. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Because it's like, I just feel like there's nothing about fighting games. I just feel like there's nothing about fighting games that makes sense. It's just all it is, right? Yeah, and that's the thing. You feel fighting games have always made sense to me. So that's another thing I should add here. This is not everybody. This is not everybody, okay? You do have players like JB who show up at NLBC and just start winning like in like 3 months. This absolutely happens. There are people out there that do that, right? But what we have to understand is that the majority of there's a very logical reason to say, well, it's probably 50-50, right? It's probably 50-50, so you're wrong, James. Like, you can't apply this to everybody. But the problem is, that's in a vacuum, right? That's economics right there, where supply and demand. You have to find this point. This is how much you sell it for. Let's ignore online buying right now. This is the old days. Brick and mortar stores. Got to find out what the key price point is that you maximize, that you get the cross point between supply and demand. That's economics, right? But the real world is, hey, there's this X point over here, but you know what? It's summer right now, so no one wants to buy this item for winter. Plus, another thing too is that store opened down there and they seem to have sales a lot on this exact same item. So you can't charge over here. But then also it's raining today and like all this stuff happens, right? All this crazy shit happens, right? And so, with fighting games, because there's like 50% of people out there who would be that can learn fighting games really well, and the other 50% that wouldn't learn fighting games necessarily very well, right? But the problem is, we're not taking into account the fact that, one, there's a million other games to play that might be more fun for them. Two, they probably just came home from work and they just put their kids to bed and their wife just went to sleep and they're freaking tired and they want to relax because their day at work sucked. Or they're sick right now and they don't feel like doing anything, etc., etc., etc. We're not taking this into account. So the majority of the people aren't going to come into a fighting game and be like, well, this makes total sense that in order for me to get better at fighting games, I should not press buttons. I've been playing fighting games for 30 years. I can't stop pressing buttons, dude. I can't stop pressing buttons. That's one of my weaknesses in Street Fighter 6 right now, is I keep pressing buttons, and I keep getting whiff punished. Like, it's not like that, you know? Yeah, exactly. The Sajam Slammers rage their way to learn the Street Fighter 6 to me validates of most of what James is saying. Yeah, and exactly, but it's because they have people teaching. They have teachers, they have people who can help them. And this is so important, which is why I keep saying fighting games are a social genre and why ranked sucks. Why I keep saying ranked sucks. Because all you do is go play and get mad, and you play and get mad, whereas in the arcade, you'd play and lose, you'd put a quarter up, and then you'd watch the next guy get his ass whooped by the guy that you lost to, and you watch the next guy go up and get his ass whooped by the guy you lost to, and then suddenly you're like, maybe he's not a scrub, maybe he's good. Or you go up there and get your ass kicked, put a quarter up, and the next guy comes up and kicks his ass with your same character, and you're like, wait, what did he do? And you start picking up on that. But if you're sitting at home and you're playing freaking ranked all day, you're not ever gonna learn a goddamn thing. Yeah, I mean, that's actually true, Ruku. You're like, you know what? I think I'm just a super patient person in general when it comes to games. Yeah. I remember like when I was playing against Sajam one time when MVCI came out, I hadn't had a chance to do anything. Sajam is one of those people that can figure out what's good in a fighting game like that, right? Like Sajam is like, this looks good, I can do this, muscle memory established. And like me, I'm like, what the fuck is actually happening over here? So we're playing MVCI and he's just kicking my ass because I can't get anything started. I can't get anything started. Because I don't remember what my move, I don't know what chains into what, I don't know what attacks where and stuff like that. And I'm like, I need training mode time. And he's like, none of us know what we're doing. We're just having fun. And I'm like, no, I'm miserable right now. And he was like, oh, you just don't like losing, right? He's right. But at the same time, but he's 100% right. But at the same time, I don't like losing even more when I don't know what I'm doing. That is one of the most frustrating things in my life. And so how did I learn fighting games in the arcade? I did what Justin did. I showed up to the arcade at 8 a.m. in the morning and I fought the computer for like 10 hours. And I mean, not 10 hours, for an hour before class. And nobody was there because who wakes up at 8 a.m. for college? I did. So I could go to the arcade and actually play the game against the computer and learn the system. This is why I wrote FAQs, because this is what I have to do to play fighting games. I need to study the system, figure out what works, why it works, how this works, what this move does, how this change, does this combo? What does this character do? Oh, this is neat. And then I can actually play. I'm terrible at jumping into a fighting game first time and playing. There's a lot of people that like I said, like Sajam, like that guy, like I swear to God, Sajam is like the taskmaster of fighting games. If you've actually seen this guy play, like he just like picks up a character. Oh, that's how this character wins. And then he just goes online and destroys everybody. And you're watching his streams and you're like, the fuck, man? Like, what the hell? It's so crazy, dude. I am not that player. And so, as a result, I also have a lot more empathy for people learning fighting games. And again, Justin is not one of them, Just Good Wine. He's not. You talk to Justin, and when he first went to Chinatown Fair, he got his ass whooped. He couldn't win in MVC1 at all. And so the story that he tells is that there was a liquor store that had the game that nobody went to. And so what he would do is he would save his lunch money. He would go to the convenience store and just play the computer every day. Use every character. He was determined to learn everything about every character. And he played, learned combos, grinded. Every day, learning MVC1 to the point where he could actually start to compete with people. Even Justin had to do the grind. Justin had to do the grind. So, nowadays? Oh, yeah. Nowadays, for sure. Nowadays, Justin's just like, oh, yeah, this is good. And he'll kill everybody with that. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's like when he first learned Killer Instinct, he was like, I could do these long combos and play this combo breaker game, or I could just do the shortest combo possible with only one chance to break in the middle, because I'm smarter than them and I'll always win neutral, so I'll just do that, and he would win all the Killer Instinct tournaments. Oh, man. Dude, my X-Men vs. Street Fighter guide is no joke, dude. No joke. You should see my CVS 2 guide, Wise Wind. That thing is 200 plus pages long in Word. So, yeah, again, that's how I learned fighting games, is I broke down everything. I broke the shit down out of everything. Everything. So, but yeah, like, this is my whole point, is that I really don't think fighting games are as intuitive. And as a result, it's harder for fighting games to hook people. Like, even when you watch a fighting game, because they're so unintuitive, people can't even recognize what the good thing is happening. One of the most educational moments that I have ever had, if you remember in Street Fighter 4, if Ken did DP FADC into Ultra, it was almost always a waste of his Ultra unless it killed. Because he would do the Shinryuken, it wouldn't do any animation, and it did no damage at all, whatsoever. It did no damage. So no Ken worth their salt would do DP FADC Ultra in vanilla Street Fighter 4. Gootecks threw a bar fights, and because Street Fighter 4 was so hot at the time, a lot of casual people came to watch. They were all watching. And at one point in time, Edma, with Ken, did jab DP FADC into Ultra. And the audience all went, oh! Because it looked cool. Because it looks cool. It was animation and... Even watching fighting games, your natural instincts can't tell you what's a good decision and what's a bad decision. It's so hard. Yeah, no, that's why Ruku is, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I understand why ultra combos are important now. I understand. I get it. Like, as soon as I saw that, that changed my mind, because I was like, ultra combos are stupid. Comeback mechanics are stupid. Yeah. And then when that moment happened and the audience went nuts, I was like, hand on chin, dude. Like, absolute hand on chin. I was like, you know? And Tragic had the best quote about Marvel, where he was like, X Factor, worst player mechanic, best audience mechanic. And we were like, he was so right. You know what I mean? And so again, like, even watching them, even though fighting games are so clear what's happening on the screen, nothing is clear what's happening on the screen. And it's why people don't watch fighting games as much. Because you know what? Even to this day, people think fighting games are button mashers. There was that one like award show where someone came out to introduce something about fighting games, or they were going to introduce Sonic Fox or somebody coming out, and they're like, and your favorite player of your favorite button mashers, Sonic Fox, and you're just like, what? Jesus Christ, you know, like, I mean, oh God. And then there was a recent clip. Oh God, this made me so mad. I found it. Okay. I found it on my account, funny enough. Here we go. Let's listen to this video here. Oh God, it's music. I might get DMCA'd here, so I'm gonna kill this music here.
G2 Esports. Kicking off the July Esports Play of the Month, we have the CS highlights machine, Munacy. In a 1 versus 3 situation, he manages to get a kill, change weapons, plant, and clutch the round.
Listen to that description.
20 seconds. Gonna have to make his move. Jump hit was towards the cubby. Masks the pickup, swings through, observes Bit. Knows where he is, hits the headshot. 10 seconds, the fight comes his way. Wonderful panicking. He could get this down. This could be another masterclass from Odyssey. The two young guys. He delivers another impossible clutch.
Nisha, Team Liquid. Over to Dota 2 at the Riyadh Masters, where with just one move, Nisha is able to eliminate the carry, the mid, and the tormentor, securing the map for Team Liquid.
Listen to that description.
And Wind Ranger.
Nisha, oh no! Oh no, it doesn't get worse than that.
That is quite bad, I must say.
Just took out the carry, the mid, and...
Tex, Leviathan. Moving on to Valorant at the VCT Americas, we find Tex and his Guardian securing an ace in a 2 versus 5 situation against Crew.
Tree, you've got the sound sensor too. They've gotten into post plants, but this is a tough post plant. When you're down in numbers like this, it's not that simple, but Tex just picks them apart one by one. 4, 5, full. The iBuyPower ace and the bonus for left. At iBuyPower on socials, they'll be giving away a free PC every single time an iBuyPower ace comes through. Shout out to Tex. Make sure you use hashtag #UnlockYourAce for a chance to win.
Hayao, Pro Gamers World.
Listen to this description.
It's time for some FGC action now at the EVO 2024. And Hayao manages to pull off one of the most incredible comebacks in Street Fighter history. We can't even explain it, so just see it for yourself.
Oh my God! How did he do that? He went past the SA3! He
Sniper, 100 Thieves.
The guy literally just said, we have no idea what happened. We can't even explain it. I mean, the other people are like, managed to do this with this clutch shot over here, use this kind of... You can actually do research, you know? And just be like, and pulls off the amazing comeback with some clutch pairing and using a move that nobody uses to escape damage. Like, that's all you need to say. And Hayao, and by the way, they can't even pronounce his name correctly. Hayao, right? They could have just been like, you know, like using one of the lower tier characters and using one of his worst moves in a way nobody had ever expected to use it. Like, that's all you need to say. But instead, we can't even explain what's going on, so we'll just let it speak for itself. And I got so mad, dude. Like, even, no, this is esports awards. This is the esports awards. Even people who understand competitive gaming call fighting games button mashers, and they don't understand anything that happens. They don't understand what happens, right? It drives me nuts, man. Dude, just saying like using one of the worst characters with a move that no one's ever used to victory. Like, you don't have to say roundhouse. You literally don't have to say roundhouse. You just say using one of the worst characters in the game and using a move that nobody ever uses to win the round. That's all you gotta say, dude. That's all you have to say. That's all I'm saying, man. But even esports people can't understand fighting games. Even esports people can't understand fighting games. This is my main point, is that even esports people can't understand the skill of fighting games. And this is a problem, right? This is why in that previous stream, I was like, we need more information on the screen. The commentators have to be better. You know, that's why I try to relate people to things like countries and you know, like, oh, go China, you know, kind of things like that. Like, because I get it. I understand what's happening out there. You know, like, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. That's why I was one of the first commentators to start using light attack, medium attack, and heavy attack. I stopped using jab, strong, fierce, short, forward, roundhouse. I do because of habit, but oftentimes I've learned to switch my language to be more understandable. Right, and they don't care to know because it's easier to assume it's just mashing. And this is what I mean. There's nothing intuitive about fighting games. When you watch a shooter and you see someone headshot 3 guys in a row like that, you're like, that's skillful. When you watch StarCraft and they're like, APM, they touted this APM, you're like, oh my God, this guy's speed must be ridiculous, you know? And fighting games are like, it's just mashing buttons, whatever. Like, nobody takes the time to understand how hard these things are, you know, and this is what I mean. Even to the point where other people who do nothing but appreciate competitive video games, their whole life is based off of competitive video games, can't even understand fighting games. Even these people. And a lot of them will actually degrade fighting games as button mashers. Like I said, the host, now, your favorite button masher, Sonic Fox. Like, what? Like, really? Like, why did you go that direction? Like, why would you say that? You know, like, even people who understand competitive video games don't understand fighting games. And you're telling me that they are as intuitive as every other genre? No. No. Saima, I'm not sure. I mean, sentence comes from nowhere. I don't know what that means. Or, oh, I see. I don't think they would understand the skill of RTS like Warno either. Okay, fair enough. But, you know, but they try. They actually try. It's just like they didn't have to add that language into the fighting game clip. We can't explain it, so we'll let it speak for itself. Like, they literally threw that line in there. They literally threw in, we can't explain it. You're the esports awards, and you just said we can't explain it. You are literally the group that are trying to say we are the premier deciders of what is good in esports by giving you these clips to vote for, and he literally says in the clip, we can't explain it. They would never do that to any other genre. I truly believe that they would never have used that language in any other genre. All right. Time to prevent myself from having an aneurysm here. Okay, anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. I have streamed for 4.5 hours because I knew this topic was gonna make me go crazy. Clearly, Ruku, I'm not saying the FGC is not to blame. In fact, there's a lot of responsibility on our side to do better, which is why a lot of times when I actually talk about this topic, it's always about what can we do better, right? And we even had that last stream that one time where I was like, how do we present better? And I was like, the devs need to put more information on the screen. Us as commentators, and you know what? I am directly responsible for a lot of this, but it's why I commentate the way I do. It's why a lot of people hate my commentary, because I'm not commentating for them. I'm commentating for the masses, because I know the masses aren't going to understand a lot of the things that I'm talking about sometimes. So when I do Evo, my commentary is always a lot more generic, and that's intentional. I'm directly practicing what I'm preaching here as a commentator, right? So again, like, yeah, a lot of it is on us. A lot of it is on us, honestly. It is. And that's why, despite the fact that everybody, well, not everybody, but more hardcore fighting gamers yell about my commentary and hate my commentary, I haven't changed it. I will spend more time being excited, laughing about things, being amazed about things, and talking about dumb things like, oh my God, there's only 2 UK players left, you know? Like, I talk about these things because it creates stories. And then when I get Xiaohai's wife onto the stage, again, literally because of me, literally that moment was because of me, because I understand how this works. You know, I'm doing this for a reason. How many more fans do you think Xiaohai gained because his wife ran up to the stage and gave him a kiss like that? How many? Like, people told, like, literally on my YouTube, someone's like, I didn't know anything about Xiaohai. Now he's one of my favorite players. Like, literally, right? Like, this is why I do what I do. And this is so important. And again, like I said, absolutely a lot of the responsibility falls on the FGC. I'm trying to do my part. I'm doing my part the best that I can. But I mean, a lot of it's going to be on the dev side. And again, this is why I hate when people, yes, as long as they aren't artificial and cheap, as long as you don't bring out the security guard when Wolf Crone and K-Brad play each other like, ooh, you know, God, I was so mad about that. But you know, like as long as people out there keep promoting the concept that fighting games are just as hard as everything else, that it's all the same. Learning this is the same as learning this, as same as learning this. When everything in the world is showing the exact opposite of that, because we don't have viewers, we have a much smaller player base, right? Like everything is showing the opposite. What that does is that everybody who tries to learn fighting games and finds it completely unintuitive, you're hurting our scene by telling them it's the same thing. You're hurting them. Have I stopped to consider that fighting games just aren't as fun or entertaining as those games? They're not. They're literally not. That's my whole point. That's why I'm saying I'm insulting my genre when I'm saying your genre is better at being fun. I'm literally saying that. And yes, it's my opinion, but I think it's based in a lot of truth. I think it's based in a lot of truth. Honestly, I really do. Because fighting games don't keep people playing. They just don't. You know? But okay, so, right. So the question, Necromancy, this is my problem, right? Your question. I seriously think most people just don't have as much interest in fighters versus Dota or first-person shooters. Fair. I want to know why. What is it about FPSs and MOBAs that make people want to watch? Because when you watch League of Legends, nothing is fucking happening on the screen. So what makes it that everybody wants to watch it? Like in some of those clips where the carry and whatever got killed, right? Like, I'm sure it's amazing, but without the commentators, I have no clue what the fuck just happened there, right? Like, it's just as hard to watch these things. Why do more people watch it? Why do more people play FPSs and Dota? And that's what led me to this conclusion. Right. And Shay hits the nail right on the head. People watch what they play. And so why are people playing those games more than they're playing fighting games? Free to play, teams, that's a lot of it, but there's got to be more to it because the people who are willing to try fighting games, we lose them. I feel like we lose people who play fighting games at a substantially higher rate. When you look at the numbers on Steam, first month, this many players, 1 month later, nobody. Mortal Kombat, one of the biggest sellers of all time, just millions of copies. Go to Twitch, Mortal Kombat, total 127 people watching Mortal Kombat. Why? And I'm trying to figure that out, which is why I have reached this conclusion that fighting games are unintuitive and they don't hook people and they don't give you any of those endorphins to want to keep playing. That's just, right. Fighting games are just complex to learn. That's my whole point. And everyone's like, no, everything's just as hard to learn. Yeah, you're right. But like, they give you wins. They give you stupid things that even if they're not useful to latch on to, you'll be like, dude, I hid in the bush and someone ran past me and they didn't even see me and I got to sneak past them. Like, you can do that, even if it's dumb, and like experts will be like, that means nothing. But like, someone can say that, right? Like, fighting game is just like, oh, I got to anti-air that guy. You're not gonna get happy about that because one, you have to understand the concept of anti-air, and two, you still lost the round. And after you anti-aired them, they may have hit you one time and you never got to play again. And all you do is watch the stupid number go down on your screen, right? Like, there's no endorphins in that, man. Right, like Mozzie says, it always surprises me how fast people drop fighting games. And that is what I'm trying to get to. And like Kuma says, not enough instant gratification. This is what I'm trying to talk about. There's a problem with our genre. So yes, I do believe that our genre isn't as fun. Because as complicated as MOBAs and FPSs get, people are having fun. And a lot of that comes from teams. Admittedly, a lot of that comes from teams because you can play with friends. That is a huge factor, and it's a huge deal. It's a huge, huge, huge factor of it. Might even be 50% of the factor, right? Which is why I tried to make up group ranked, right? If you've watched my stream before, I've talked about group ranked, right? Dude, my brother was telling me the story. My younger nephew plays the hell out of Fortnite. All day, plays the hell out of Fortnite. My brother bought Street Fighter 6, and my younger nephew tried to play Chun-Li, could like only learn 3 moves, and he stopped playing. He just gave up. I have played League. Not very long. Not very long, greetings mortal. But I never got to Flash. I think I got to level 11. I never managed to get Flash. But every time I played it, I had fun. I had fun. Even if it was dumb, stupid things. Like when I was building my Shinzao, like I was like, oh cool, I can actually buy this power up that makes it so my first 2 swings heal myself. So I did that because in my mind, healing myself is really important. So I would have that and I would go attack towers and take damage. Then I would run away, kill some minions, gain some life back and go back and attack. And I'm like, bitch, like I have full health again. You know, like I could do things like that. And like, I was having fun. You know, like people would be like, oh, learn how to place your wards over here. All right, let me go place this ward over here. Drop the ward over here. My ward never got destroyed. I'm the best ward placer in the world. Right? And literally hiding in the bush and someone running past me and me going, I talk about that example because I did that. And I was like, yeah, I hid in the bush. You didn't see me. Like... Right? I had fun. I took down towers. And then when my friends were like, attack, we all attack and we kill all the enemy heroes. I'm like, yeah. Like, I can go play a fighting game. If I don't know how to play, I will lose my first 100 matches online. There's no fun in that. There's just no fun in that. Well, again, Ruku, that's why, so Ruku says, so basically we need arcades again. That's why I wanted to create a group ranked that plays in the actual ranked ladder, because I want people to team up and help each other in a non-stressful way and force people to watch. Because in fighting games, watching fighting games is as important as playing. Watching fighting games is super important. And in the arcade, it happened naturally when you had 4 people playing. You just cycled. You wanted to get back on there. And you know what happens? You're mad because the guy just beat you and you're pissed. You put the quarter up, you walk to the side, and you're pissed. And you know what you do? You complain to your friend. God damn it, I totally DP'd there. I don't know why it didn't come out. And your friend's like, dude, you focus attack way too goddamn much, okay? What are you talking about? Yeah, every time you focus, he's beating you every single time. You're like, does that happen? And you're like, yeah, it really does. And they're like, does it? And then you know what? 2 games later, you're not mad anymore. You jump back up and you play. You have a chance to calm down. You have a chance to talk to people. You have a chance to watch, right? And so if you have a group ranked where you play ranked, And then when you're done with your match, you become a spectator and the guy in your next guy in your group plays. And then he's done and the next guy in your group plays. And every time someone wins, everybody gets points, even the spectators. However, the spectators get very less points, very much fewer points, but you still earn points. So now you're just sitting there watching and you want to gain those free points. And so you'll be like, dude, stop jumping. And you talk to him and help him. And then you don't gain the points until you actually win a match. And if you don't win your match in your cycle, you forfeit the points that you should have earned. That way you can't just sit there and let someone carry you, but you have to have a legit way to skip your turn because you had to go take a dump or the pizza guy came or someone called you on the phone. You have to have a legit way to skip your turn. But you don't want to be able to make it so that someone goes, oh, you're playing right now? Let me jump in your group and keep skipping me and just give me free points, right? So you don't get the points until you play your match and you finish and you earn that round of points. And then you do it again, and then you do it again. So you have to play to actually earn the points, right? But what happens is, and don't make this clubs, don't make this guilds. It's just at any point in time, any group, 3 people can be like, hey, here's my group invite, here's my group invite. And the 3 of you jump on this thing together, and you just start playing, and you take turns playing ranked. And as you do it, the other guys watch and give you advice through the voice chat, which all consoles and PCs can do. And because they will never lose points. Even if you lose, the people watching you don't lose points. But if you win, they gain points. So they have impetus to try to make you a better player when they're watching you and never have the stress of you losing. That's all I want, dude. That's all I want. Oh, man. Yeah, a ranked team battle, but it doesn't have to be a team. And it plays in the actual ranked. Like, I don't want it to play on a different ranked. Like, here's singles ranked, here's team ranked. No. You have to have it work in the actual ranked, because if it doesn't, nobody will use it. Nobody will use it. And that's the thing, is you don't have to use it. So in other words, I don't know if Necromancy Black is talking about my idea, but if you would say it would be hell for me to play it, you don't have to play it. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to do it at all. There's at no point in time in which you ever need to do it, because you can just play by yourself on ranked. But everybody else should have the option to play with friends. That's just all it is, dude. That's just all it comes down to. Dude, playing in the Sajam Slam and having people cheering me on was so good. It was great, dude. It was so great. I loved that when my teammates were like, let's go, let's go. And even when I lost, they'd be like, that's okay. It's all good. You did good. You did good. I saw improvement. And I'd be like, yeah, thanks. You know, like, seriously, like, that's why it can't be separate modes. That's why it has to be built in there, because it has to be something that's doable and also ignorable. It's got to be both. It's got to be both. You can't force anybody to do it, but you have to make it so that there is a reason to do it, basically. So, oh, man. Anyways, I've been streaming for 5 hours now because, again, this topic gets me so heated. And I was not heated. This topic gets me very passionate, okay? The way that I talk, a lot of people always think I'm mad. And I'm just very extremely passionate and emotional. That's just how I am, okay? So, again, yeah, I mean, there is definitely anger when I'm talking about, like, the esports award thing, right? Like, I get mad. But at the same time, a lot of times when I talk like this, my passionate voice comes out like I'm really pissed. And so a lot of times I'll be talking to people and people will be like, James, calm down. And I'm like, and then I literally have to, like, sit back and go like, am I not calm? And I'm like, I guess you could interpret that. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's my bad. You're like, I literally had no idea that I was sounding angry or whatever. So, but you know, I'm so passionate about this topic because I really do think fighting games are something so great, and I want more people to play. Does instant gratification take away longevity in a game? Never. Never, 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 never. Lowering the floor does not mean you have to lower the ceiling. It's just no correlation between those two. There should be rewards for doing simple stuff in matches. In shooters, you get 10 headshots and unlock something new. You could anti-air 10 times and unlock a new color or something. Simple things. Right. The hardest part is that, weirdly enough, like, the prizes in fighting games aren't tempting enough. Giving away colors and costumes really takes away from the ability for those games to make money. What they should do is they should give away costume points. So it costs 1,000 costume points and you get a free costume. And if you do this certain thing, you get 50 costume points. If you do this other thing, you get 25 costume points. So it feels like you're getting there. Because in Street Fighter V, legit, some people would play until they got enough points to actually buy a new character, right? So kind of like a battle pass, except the battle pass doesn't give away these things, which it should, honestly. So, dude, they need to give us more drive tickets, dude. I still can't buy all the songs because I can't get enough drive tickets, dude. Man. But I mean, that's just, again, like, I'm passionate about this because I want more people to play fighting games. And again, I'm not saying all this stuff because I think fighting games are better than anything else. I'm literally criticizing our genre. I want it to be better. I'm not trying to say fighting games are deeper or oh my God, they're so hard compared to these other scrubby ass genres. No, I'm like, these other genres are good at rewarding people and making them stay and play. They're great. Fighting games have a problem, right? Yeah, there has to be something that shows progress. A huge barrier is people not thinking they're getting better because they still lose a lot. Exactly. Because why is everyone so obsessed with rank and these stupid, ranked points, this LP? It's the only thing you have to judge progress in a fighting game. It's literally the only thing you have to judge progress. But if you were actually earning points to get you a costume, or if you were earning points to get a different emote on the versus screen, or if you're getting enough points to, like, at least you can feel like something is happening, right? At least it feels like something is happening, man. Right, and most of your friend list stopped logging in to do the Battle Pass grind because the Battle Pass isn't worth it. What are you, like, nothing in the Battle Pass is actually enough to make someone want to play it, right? If every 4 Battle Passes let you unlock a costume, people will be playing a lot more Battle Passes. I mean, they would be playing a lot more Battle Passes. Honestly. You know? Yeah, a lot of the Sajam Slammers would have given up ranking up if it weren't for their coaches explaining their progress. Exactly. And you know what? Those guys are still playing, and they're still ranking up. Since I was in a previous Sajam Slam, I still see a lot of people in the Discord. They're like, look, I got to this level. Like, I got to platinum. Like, or one person got to gold, and they were like, I never thought I could even play this game, and I got to gold. I'm so proud. Like, dude, it's like, that's amazing. But that happens because of the social aspect. That happens because someone is there to explain to you why you're succeeding. You know? I just don't bother with the battle pass anymore. Once you can no longer go past level 20 to buy it later. I mean, I cheat on my battle passes, so. Oh, man. So, yeah, again, all I'm trying to say is I'm really passionate about this. I love fighting games a lot. And the reason why I get into this topic, and to be fair, most of the conversation online was actually great. Most people could see that I wasn't being unreasonable, and a lot of, like, I had some people like, I don't agree with you at all, James. And then I started explaining it. We had a great conversation. And at the end, they're like, yeah, I see your point now. I can see your point. I don't necessarily agree, but I see your point. You know, like, I had a lot of great conversations online about it. And it's just because, like I said, I'm coming from a position that I just want more people to play it. And I want people to figure it out. Because some people are like, I'm okay with it staying grassroots. I've been in the scene for 30 years now. I'm tired of it being grassroots. I'm sorry. I'm actually tired of fighting games being grassroots. You know? Maybe a lot of that is affected because it is my full-time job now. But I felt this way even before, even when I had a day job. The reason why I wrote FAQs, the reason why I wrote tutorials, the reason why I answered so many questions on SRK forums, the reason why I made combo videos, the reason why I got into commentary is because my goal has always been to get more people to play fighting games. It's what I've always been trying to do. And so my FAQs are 100 pages long because I don't want to leave anything out. And I will explain everything slowly. Here's what a jumping combo is. Here's what a dashing combo is. Here's why you want to do a dashing combo. Later on, how to combine all the areas. Here's your jumping combo to dashing combo. Because I explained what a jumping combo is and I explained what a dashing combo is. So later on, I can explain what a jumping to dashing combo is. You know? Oh, man. I've been doing this for a long time. And so if a lot of people actually think the only reason why I'm doing this is for selfish purposes, I don't know how I can prove to you anymore that I'm not doing this for selfish purposes. I don't know if I can. You will never believe me then if you don't believe me now. Because again, I just want more people to play because I think fighting games are awesome and I think it deserves to be big. I think people deserve to make money being good at fighting games. And like I said, I don't care if it's me. I want everybody else to succeed. When I see Mena RD tweet, fighting games are the best thing that has ever happened to me, like, fuck, man. Like, that shit just, like, it kills me. Like, that's why when Tokido said fighting games are something so great, I lost it because that's exactly what that means to me, you know, because I want to see these people succeeding because I think it's just so cool. I just think it's so cool and I want more people to play fighting games. I want more people to enjoy them, to find what's so great about them because as I've said, like, this is bias. This is me being biased. This is me being biased, and this is me saying fighting games are better than everything else. This right now is where this is happening. Because when you play a match or a long set with one of your friends or anybody, and you guys are of equal skill, but you're both good enough that you can adapt, and you feel yourself adapting to each other, and the win rate keeps jumping back and forth, and you can feel that, there is no other genre that will bring you that kind of joy. That level of joy just doesn't exist in any other fighting game, in any other genre. When Hotashi and Latif have been talking shit, US, EU, I'm better in Strive, we're better in Strive. And then at EVO, they play a money match, 1st to 13, and nobody got a 2-game lead. It was always 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. And in between 2 rounds, they fist bump each other because something so like really cool happened and they both recognized it, and they just like round ended and neither of them looked at each other. They just fist bumped each other. These 2 rivals who have been trying to prove which region was better, but they were just having the sickest ass set, and they could feel the other person adapting. Like, that feeling is just doesn't exist anywhere else. And it's so great, and I want more people to feel that because it's so good. It's so good, man. Oh, and that's why I want more people to play fighting games. I've made some of my best friends through fighting games. And, you know, I've had experience that I've never thought I would have ever had because of fighting games. And these are the things that I want other people to experience. And that's why I'm so adamant about trying to figure out why the fuck people aren't playing fighting games. And why I can't just sit and accept it's teams. They're just not as fun. I have to figure out why. Because this shit is like the greatest thing in the world, and more people should be playing this. And we have to figure out how to make it fun for people. We have to make it fun for people. And that's what it really comes down to, man. Like, that's what it really all comes down to. That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do is find a way to make this fun for people. Yeah. And with that, I don't think there's really much more I can add on to this. Play fighting games, man. They're good. Look at all those Sajam Slam people. Look how much fun they're having. Look how much joy they're gaining. Because they were given a reason to stick with it. Because they had the coaches and the friends. They had a way, they had a reason to stick with it. And now it's been so rewarding for so many of them. And that's what I want for everybody, honestly. That's what I want. Oh, thank you for the sub, Ruku. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay. I need to stop. Harada thinks people rely too much on plausible deniability to avoid getting salted up when they lose in team games. You don't get that in fighting games. Yeah, again, the team aspect, it's always there. That part is absolutely true. Absolutely true. It's funner to lose with your friends than it is to lose by yourself. Without question, the teams is a major component of this. But again, there's more to it to that because, again, as I said, more people stop playing, even people who try to learn fighting games, who understand how difficult it is, quit, right? So it's a little tough. So anyway, yeah, some people can get annoyed by teams for sure. Yes, yeah, losing because of your friends. But see, the reason why that's good, Necromancy Black, is because you, even if it's true or not, you don't have to soul search. You don't have to look deep within yourself and say, am I the problem? Am I the problem? Right? Like, you can always just be like, my friends suck. I have to carry them so hard. And you don't have to soul search. It's not tough. It's not hard on yourself because you'll always have a reason to blame them. And again, that is definitely a huge factor of what makes fighting games less fun. But we can solve that. That's why the group ranked idea and all these other ideas, we can solve this, but we aren't trying because we're not acknowledging it when everybody says, no, fighting games are not hard at all. They're easy. It's just as hard as anything else. It's so easy to learn fighting games. You just press buttons and try to punch people. As long as we keep perpetuating that narrative, we'll never get better at getting more people to play because it is just not true. It is just not true. Too much of evidence out there shows that fighting games just don't hook people. And that's why I have to believe that there's something more to it. So, okay. Play fighting games, man. Fighting games are something so great. Play fighting games, man. Something so great, honestly. So, I gotta feed some cats. They're hungry. It is way past their dinner time. It's been 5 hours, so thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for putting up with me and listening to me rant for 3 hours, 3.5 hours on this topic. Like I said, it's passion, okay? It's what I believe in. It's what I love. I know I've turned my life dedicated to some stupid genre of video games. I could definitely doing a lot better things with my time than that. But I don't care because I love this shit and I want more people to play and it's fun. So I hope you guys are still enjoying fighting games. I mean, this might just be a 3-hour video. Little Akiba games. This might, in the end, it just might have to be a 3-hour video. So it's just how, and if it is, it is. If it is, it is. You know, hopefully people will watch it. So, any case, thank you guys for watching. And again, the day that this podcast graced your ears was, especially today, was the most important day of your life. Whew. But for me,
it was Tuesday.